to your way happy Bible study on CUBN. Let's get back into it. We're in Matthew chapter 8 and starting at verse 1. When he was come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. Great multitudes. Thousands of people were following him. And behold, there came a leper and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. He's expressing his faith. He says, Lord, if you're willing, you can heal me. You can cleanse me. And Jesus put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will. Be thou clean. And immediately, not over time, immediately his leprosy was cleansed. Isn't he amazing? I love him. He's just wonderful. In verse 4 of chapter 8 of Matthew, and Jesus saith unto him, See thou tell no man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded, for a testimony unto them. He's purposely provoking him. He already knows what they're going to say. In verse 5, and when Jesus was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeching him, and saying, Lord, my servant lieth at home sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Jesus saith unto him, I will come and heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. That's faith right there, isn't it? For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and I say to this man, go, and he goeth, and to another, come, and he cometh, and to my servant, do this, and he doeth it. When Jesus heard it, he marveled. And that is something you want to pay attention to. When Jesus marvels, it's always over something really cool. When Jesus said to them that, he marveled and said to them that followed, Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. He was commending the centurion's faith. You know why? Because the man understood the chain of command and how it works. A power structure, like a pyramid, where you have God at the top and you have levels of authority, okay? And it's the same way with the hierarchy of evil. You have Satan at the top there, and you have his little pyramid as it goes down of different levels of authority. Okay, where am I here? In verse 11, and I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Is that you? I hope it's me. I'll be coming out of the west. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness. He's talking about there are biological Jews who are a part of the synagogue of Satan. They are the tribe of Dan. That tribe was disinherited, and Manasseh, the eldest son of Joseph, was given that tribe. And the tribe of Dan is all of those rich billionaire globalists in Europe. They're Jews, okay? And they believe they have the right to run the world. They were instrumental in creating the state of Israel, not because they want a homeland for the Jews. The reason they did it is because they wanted to lure the Jews in from all over the world back into their own land. Because, see, when God dispersed them in what is known as the diaspora, they were scattered into all the world to protect and hide them. And see, they can't wipe out all the Jews as long as they're scattered among the nations like they are. But They wanted to lure them all into one place again so they could wipe them out. They're evil. They are the children of evil. They are the mystery of iniquity and the synagogue of Satan. And they believe that they have the right to rule the world. But they can't destroy the legitimate tribes on their own. So they perpetrate atrocities and crimes, making sure that the people of the world know that it's committed by Jews, them, and they deflect the responsibility and the world's anger off onto the legitimate tribes. They want the world to destroy the legitimate tribes for them. Sneaky suckers, aren't they? So if you are Jewish, don't immigrate to Israel. Stay hidden where God has you, okay? Because the state of Israel is going to continually come under terrible things from this point forward and through the tribulation period. It's just going to be terrible. Okay. So that's what it means when it says the children of the kingdom. It's like the biological descendants. Oh my gosh, what is that? What just happened? Why is it doing that? Okay. Ooh. There we go. Okay. Let's keep going. In verse 13, and Jesus said unto the centurion, go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the selfsame hour. And when Jesus was come into Peter's house, he saw his wife's mother laid and sick of a fever. And he touched her hand, and the fever left her. And she arose and ministered unto them, and began to get them food and drink and water for their feet. She ministered unto them because she was healed. In verse 16, when the even was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils. And he cast out the spirits with his word, and healed all that were sick. Now notice, devils obey the Son of God. Devils obey him. Devils obey us. He says, rejoice not that the spirits are subject unto you, but that your name is written in heaven. Okay, that's why you need to rejoice, because your name is written in the Lamb's book of life from the foundation of the world. But notice that anytime Jesus commands a wicked spirit, it does exactly as it's told. Now, keep in mind, God is almighty. He's in control of both sides. Okay? He's directing good and he's directing evil as well. Let me prove that. God is the one who sends evil angels to do what they do. Let me get that scripture for you. It is in Psalm 78:49. He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath, and indignation, and trouble, by sending evil angels among them. Well, you think evil angels are in rebellion? No, they're not. They do exactly what God tells them, and they do exactly what the Son of God tells them to do, because he is God in a flesh body. He was only when he entered a flesh body was he seen by angels. That's the first time they'd ever seen him, because he's invisible. Okay. In verse 17 of Matthew chapter 8, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Esaias, that's Isaiah, the prophet, saying, himself took our infirmities and bare our sicknesses. This is an Old Testament prophecy from Isaiah, and that's exactly what he did when he hung on that cross, is he took our infirmities and bear our sicknesses in himself. In himself. In Matthew chapter 8, verse 18. Now, when Jesus saw great multitudes about him, he gave commandment to depart unto the other side. So he's being pressed by thousands of people. And a certain scribe came and said unto him, Master, I will follow thee whithersoever thou goest. And Jesus saith unto him, The foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. He was homeless. He was traveling and spreading the word and sleeping on the ground. And another of his disciples said unto him, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. Now, let me explain this as we go through this. Because this is one of those that can be difficult to understand. What he's saying is, he's saying, Lord, first, let me go back and take care of my dad until he dies, okay, and bury him, and then I'll come and follow you. But Jesus says, in verse 22, but Jesus said unto him, Follow me, and let the dead bury their dead. What he's saying to this man is, even if your dad dies, he's still alive when he leaves his body. He's not really dead. He's still alive when he leaves his body. Okay? So you don't have to worry about staying with him and burying him and then coming to follow Jesus. Okay? He's saying, follow me. And what that means is that he's going to have someone who will take care of his dad for him. You know, God lines up. If Jesus tells you to follow him, he's going to have you covered in the things that you're not there for. Okay? But Jesus said unto him, Follow me, and let the dead bury their dead. Now, what he's saying here is, let the children of evil, the goats, the tares, let them bury their dead with all of this elaborate ceremony and all of this, because they don't see theirs again. You know, let the dead bury their dead. Okay? That's talking about the tares, the children of evil. When they die, they're not still alive. Okay? I'd say they're kind of like computer-generated opponents. Not really alive by God's definition. Now, they're alive by our definition of what alive is. But the Lord's definition is entirely different. He says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man cometh unto the Father except by me. Well, if Jesus is the life, and he's not in them, then they can't be alive, can they? Well, they're animated. They look like they're alive. So what are they really if they're not alive? They have to be some type of programming is all I can think. Well, I mean, what is animated but not alive? A program. Okay. And that's why they believe in reincarnation. Did you know that? Because I think reincarnation is actually a reality for them, but what we would more accurately call it would be recycling. Okay, rather than reincarnation, these programs are recycled, because the Lord says in Ecclesiastes, the thing that hath been is the thing that shall be, and the thing that hath been done is the thing that shall be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. So as these tares that are programmed to accomplish certain things, they can just be recycled over and over and over again in different generations and perform the same tasks that they were programmed to do over and over as they're recycled and throughout history. I think it's a possibility. I think it's a real possibility. Okay. All right. So what he's saying when he says, "Follow me and let the dead bury their dead," he's telling this young man, even when your dad leaves his body, he's still alive. So you don't have to worry about him. Come. If Jesus says come, then it's not going to be a bad thing for you to come. Okay. He's saying you just want to obey him no matter what. But that's what he's talking about when he says, "Let the dead bury their dead." Let the tares, the goats, the children of evil bury their dead, because they won't see them again. Okay? It's not the same for us. When we leave our body, we're still alive. We just go to a different location. Okay? So that's what he's saying here. That children of God aren't really dead when they leave their body. So all the weeping and wailing and ceremonial burial stuff, that's for them, because they're dead or really dead. They're not coming back unless they're recycled somewhere along the line. But for us, our loved ones, when they die, they aren't really dead. They just step out of their body like you step out of your clothes, and they go to a different location. And we found that out with Lazarus, didn't we? He was in the grave in John chapter 11, but in Luke chapter 16, we saw where he went when he left his body. He was in paradise, in Abraham's bosom there, and he still had all of his senses. He could be seen. He had a body. He still had a spiritual body, even though he was not inside his flesh body. And when Jesus had them roll the stone away and he said, "Lazarus, come forth," that's when Lazarus came back from paradise into his body and then walked out of the tomb. So see, the children of God, that's why, keep your space there in Matthew. Go over to John chapter 11 real quickly and look at verse 25 and 26 here. Jesus said unto her, "I am the resurrection and the life." If Jesus is there, then the resurrection is there. If Jesus is there, then the life is there. "He that believeth in me, though he were dead," though he's left his body, "yet shall he live." You're still alive when you leave your body. You're never going to taste death, ever. All we taste is the shadow of death. The Lord said in the 23rd Psalm, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." The valley of the shadow of death, not the valley of real death. The valley of the shadow of death. Well, what's a shadow? What can a shadow do to you? Nothing. It's just a shadow. Now, you know what? If you take death, right, you shine a light on it, you're going to see the shadow of death on the wall. That's all we face is the shadow. Now he says, so even those who leave their body, they're still alive. Then he says in verse 26, "And whoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die." I'm going to leave this body, but I'm going to still be alive when I do. I will never lose consciousness. I will be aware, fully aware, awake, alive, conscious, and we never die. When we step out of our body like we step out of our clothes, and you have a spiritual body that can't be seen in this world that we're in, but can be seen in other places, and we saw that with Lazarus, didn't we? Okay, let's go back over to Matthew. We're in chapter 8. Okay. And now we're in chapter 8, verse 23. "And when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, insomuch that the ship was covered with the waves. But he was asleep." Jesus was asleep. And the storm is raging, but Jesus is crashed. He's not worried about it at all. In verse 25, "And his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we perish." What they should have done is just sit there calmly and not freak out. and think about the situation and ask themselves, well, did Jesus Christ come just to drown in this boat in a storm? No, he did not. So that means they are not going to drown either with Jesus in that boat, whether he's asleep or not. Okay? And he saith unto them, why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Why weren't they thinking, well, Jesus is with us, nothing can happen to us? Why weren't they thinking Jesus is teaching us things? Not he's teaching us to go out and preach the gospel. So that means we can't die right here and now. Those kind of statements of faith is what they should have said. But then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. It's like he said, peace, be still, and the water just became like glass. Not a breath of wind. All of a sudden, whoosh, instant calm. And not just a calm, a great calm. A great calm. But the men marveled, saying, what manner of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? He's God in the flesh. He's the creator in a human body. In verse 28, and when he was come to the other side into the country of the Gergesenes, there met him two possessed with devils, coming out of the tombs, exceeding fierce, so that no man might pass by that way. Nobody would even go through there, because these two were possessed with devils and were exceeding fierce. They would hurt people that came anywhere near. And behold, they cried out, saying, what have we to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God? See, the devils know exactly who he is. Art thou come hither to torment us before the time? Well, they know their time is short, too. They know they can't win. They know they're going to be tormented at some point. In verse 30, and there was a good way off from them a herd of many swine feeding. So the devils besought him, saying, if thou cast us out, suffer us to go away into the herd of swine. Now, maybe you're wondering why they would want to do that. Because if Jesus cast them out, these devils, out of these men, they have to go into, and doesn't send them into the swine. They have to go into the abyss where they are not able to influence things on the earth. But if they go into another living creature and then cause that creature to kill itself, which they did with the pigs, then when those pigs die, they can come out of those pigs and they can go stay here on the earth and go find somebody else to occupy. So the devils besought him, saying, if thou cast us out, suffer us to go away into the herd of swine. Because if they would cause the herd of swine to drown themselves, and then that way they're released into the air again to go and find something else to possess. Okay? But if he hadn't sent them into the swine, they would have had to go directly into the abyss, where they would not be able to affect the earth anymore until they're released. In verse 32, and he said unto them, go. And when they were come out, they went into the herd of swine. And behold, the whole herd of swine ran violently down a steep place into the sea and perished in the waters. I think, these pigs that were demon possessed, the demons can take over their minds and force them to, it's kind of like the spirit of suicide, right? With the spirit of suicide, it captures a person's mind. If they get too far into despair, if they're too deep into self-pity and things like that, they attract the spirit of suicide to themselves. And this is this gives you an idea of what happens when a demon or a devil is either cast out and has to go into the abyss, or is cast out into these animals. They cause them to commit suicide, basically, the pigs. And when they do, then they are released back into the air at the death of the pigs. So they didn't want to go into the abyss. In verse 33, and they that kept them fled. Well, it says, he said unto them, go. And when they were come out, they went into the herd of swine. And behold, the whole herd of swine ran violently down a steep place into the sea and perished in the waters. Even pigs would rather die than be inhabited by devils. In verse 33, and they that kept them fled. Oh, we're going to take a real quick break. We'll be right back after this with Matthew chapter 8, verse 33.